What's up, guys? This is episode 57 of the Pitside podcast, and before you panic, don't worry, it's not just me. Roger is here, and we've also got Joe Halter this week. He's here to talk to us about some of the stuff he's got going on Tuesdays and Friday nights, and we'll get into all the details from your first week of the 2022 winter season. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Pitside podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the Coast to Coast Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Here's your host, the A-Let Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman, Craig.
Yep, so we're back here once again, and I know we have a whole bunch to talk about. And obviously, we've got Joe Halter here with us already.
We have another co-host.
Yeah, so Joe's going to be hanging around a little bit tonight. Obviously, we're going to get to some of the stuff that he's got going on. And you've been seeing a lot more of him in our league lately. But we've invited him to come hang out with us for the full episode of the podcast. So you'll get to enjoy Joe. And maybe you'll want to tune in on Tuesdays and Fridays to see his broadcast as well. But I know we've got lots to talk about, and we need to talk to Joe. But before we get into all that, I know we're an oval racing and mostly dirt racing podcast, right? But that F1 race this past weekend, did you guys watch it? Are you at least aware of what happened?
I watched the highlights. I did not watch it live.
How about you, Joe?
No, I did not.
All right.
Do you know who won? Do you know what happened, Joe?
No, I have no clue.
Why did we bring him on?
It's true.
Who is
It's true.
this guy?
I mean, we're not too far into this. We can always stop and start over. But anyway, so for anybody that didn't follow, I'll give you the quickest summary I can, right? So this is the first time since 1974 that the first and second place guys come in tied on points. So it's already set up to be this crazy race. There was lots of drama last week. We won't get into that. Well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago at this point by the time you're watching this.
The drama all season.
Yeah, there really has. And it's been awesome for the casual viewer, but it's obviously gotten more tense as you've gotten closer to the last race. So they come into this race, and Max Verstappen actually ends up getting the pole, which was very unexpected. Mercedes had saved an engine they called their rocket engine for this race specifically. Everyone expected them to be quickest, but Max gets the pole. So they're going into turn one. You know, it's all the lights are on, right? They're ready to go. They go into turn one, and Hamilton gets ahead right away. So he takes the lead, and I think it's turn 3 or 4. Max kind of lunges through the corner, makes the corner, but kind of forces Lewis to run off the track. But Lewis just makes a straight line way up the track, right? So
I've done that before.
Right, but he's now added to the gap that was between he and Max before they went into the corner. Yep. So there's already we're on lap 1. We're not even halfway through the lap, and there's already drama. And I'll mention by name. Michael Massey is the race director for Formula One, and so they come back, and the new thing this year is they are broadcasting the team to race director chat, right? So you get to hear what they want to broadcast, but if there's drama, you know they're going to play it. So immediately you hear Toto Wolff, the team principal for Mercedes, and Christian Horner, the team principal for Red Bull. They're already barking back and forth at him. And so Mercedes say, well, we were forced off track. Red Bull say, well, but he didn't give up the time he gained by going off the track. So Michael Massey decides that there's no investigation necessary, and they just let the race keep on going. Which, in my opinion, whether that's whether what Lewis did was legal or not, they at least needed to investigate it. So that's my opinion. I try to keep that out as much as I can. So the race goes on. Lewis Hamilton's checked out, right? He's gone. And so Lewis and Max pit, and Sergio Perez, who's Max Verstappen's teammate, stays out and just lets his tires just die on the track so he can hold Lewis up. And he did a fantastic job. He took 6 seconds out of the gap between Max and Lewis. And so by the time he goes to pit, when Lewis finally gets around him, there's only 2 seconds between Max and Lewis, which in Formula One, I know that sounds like a lot for your sprint car guys, but that's Formula One, that's nothing. So race is going on, but Max still can't keep up. and there is a virtual safety car. I think it was probably about 15 laps to go. If you're not familiar with that, no safety car actually comes out on the track, but the drivers have on their screen, it tells them whether they need to speed up or slow down. They try to maintain the gaps between the drivers until they can get a car off the track. So that comes out, and Max Verstappen slips into the pits, changes tires, comes back out. So he's already on a new set of tires, and so they get going racing again, but he was cutting into Lewis's gap, but just not quick enough. So he wasn't going to win. It was over. There's 5 laps left, and Nicholas Latifi, who, if you're a conspiracy theorist, just got paid, right? So he wrecks. So what happens is now, because his car has crashed in the middle of the track, the pace car has to come out, right? So now they bunch the field back up. The problem is there's basically going to be 1 lap to go when it goes back green flag. Max Verstappen actually got to slip in the pits again and put on the softest compound they had, brand new. Lewis is on like 50 lap old hard tires, so there is already a massive gap there. But there are 5 lapped cars between Lewis and Max. Now, the standard in Formula 1 is typically, if it's a dry track, now it's not a hard written rule, but if it's a dry track, you let the lap cars go around and they can unlap themselves. Michael Massey decided with 2 laps before they would be, or with 1 lap before they'd possibly be able to go green, that they weren't going to they wanted to make sure they didn't affect the outcome of the race, and they were going to leave the lap cars in place. And Red Bull, again, you get all the barking at the race director. That's why we mute chat, right? So you get all the you get all the barking at the race director. This is unprecedented. Why are you doing this? It's not raining, whatever. So with half a lap to go before they could possibly go green, because it is possible if they start the last lap under yellow, it's just going to end under caution. With half a lap left to go, Michael Massey changes his mind, presumably influenced by what Red Bull was saying, whether they were right or wrong, and says, okay, lap cars, you can unlap yourself. So the 5 cars between Max and Lewis go. Everybody else stayed where they were. They go green. They take 1 lap. I think it took 4 or 5 corners. Max shot past Lewis, won the race, won the world championship in the most dramatic way you've ever seen. But the problem was, Mercedes says all the lap cars were supposed to go because they know they wouldn't have all been able to get past Lewis before they would have taken the yellow flag on the start of the last lap. So it's possible that this is going to go to court and we won't actually know who won for months. I am very sorry that was not a short explanation. I can do some editing if I need to.
No. Yeah.
That sounds like a dang soap opera.
It was insane. It was
F1 is a soap opera.
The
whole F1 is.
It is, and unfortunately, I'm not going to say whether I think the outcome was correct or not. But the race director played the role in the whole race and really the last few races of the season. And that's, as a sport, I'm fine with the soap opera stuff. Like, that can happen, but the sport has to stay pure, and that's really fallen away. And F1's taken a beating for it.
Well, I read a good thread today. It was in an iRacing thread, but somebody said, I'm not an F1 guy. Like, can you explain this to me, sort of? And it was a very civilized. It didn't get stupid. But the best comment was, one guy said, I was really happy to see Max win. It's too bad he won that way.
Right.
And I think that's the way. And that's what. And they went into all this analysis and all the rest of the stuff. But that's when it comes down to it, it's kind of like it would have been nice to see him win it on his own on the track, and But
and what it comes down to,
all you F1 guys getting all wound up. Like this is just another Harvick Elliott fight or something. That's all.
It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But what it really comes down to is the race director made 2 stupid decisions. He initially made a decision, and then when he changed his mind, he ended up screwing both teams at some point, and it just ended up working out for Red Bull at the end. It's crazy.
There's probably a couple weeks ago, their championship week, guys were saying the same discussion was probably going on after the races about the admins, they screwed up a race or something. Who knows?
Yeah. Especially the ones that stream and admin. Gosh, those guys.
Those guys are horrible. How do they pick their director?
Okay, so we've got a special guest here. Let's move on. Let's move on to the league stuff. You've said your piece, and Massey will forever be unknown. So Preston put up a session the other night, and the password was Fire Massey. So
yeah, you know how I feel.
Yeah. But anyways, we're being very rude here. We have a special guest who has no clue what we were just talking about. And I'm not saying he's clueless, but Smokin Joe Halter, how you doing, buddy?
I am super well, and I am the real Joe Halter. Earl G.W. Wilson has passed away, so it's good to be here under my real name, actually.
It's good for a lot of people for you to be under your real name, because for those that don't know, Joe runs the admins, and it was under Earl G. Wilson, and you forever explain to people who the Earl is actually Joe. And I always think about that song that what is it? Can't even think of their name now. Dixie Chicks. Earl.
Goodbye,
you ever
Earl.
heard that song? That's all. Every time I see Joe, I think about Earl. And I think about him in a trunk. So. But anyways, buddy, this is the workhorse of the league. Just taking over everything. I think that's why Preston talks so long, is because we're afraid he's going to take over the podcast, because he's come in. He's looking after the admins, just doing an unbelievable job, man. And we really appreciate everything you're doing for us and for Icon. I mean, you came in through Icon, and but you're serving us so well as well. So thank you for that. We're just coming off a couple of streams Tuesday night. The attendance wasn't what we wanted, but the one we were just starting out with the recruit stuff. But it was great to see you covering those, Joe. That was a whole new dimension.
Yeah, it is a little bit different than what I typically am used to trying to stream, but I think we'll get there. It's a lot of fun. I absolutely love it. The communication with people is fantastic. So, yeah, the numbers could have been better. I felt like I was talking to myself a lot of times, but we got her done.
I was watching. So, and I was making. I'm not saying, but. No, it's a great start, but the one thing you're really doing is Friday night lights. So as everybody in the league knows, we've partnered with Icon. This is Icon's baby, though. Like they set it up and stuff, but we're working together on it. But last week was night number 1. Right out of the box, you had great car counts. I was setting up my new monitors. And I was kind of looking, and I was installing iRacing. iRacing had just gotten installed. So I was thinking, like, I could watch a replay or something, and then, hold on a minute, Friday Night Lights is starting up. So I go in there, and who's running near the front but Presto? Presto's putting on a show out there. So, but it was great car counts and great racing. It was a great tournament. There's a lot of league guys in there, but more importantly, a lot of non-league guys. You were exposing a lot of people, new people, to our brand and your brand. So it was a great night and a great start, man. Awesome job.
Yeah, the feedback was absolutely phenomenal. You never know what you're going to get when you host a race, and we've been very fortunate. If you remember the Knoxville, what did we call it, the pre-whatever, when we did a hosted session, that was a real good session also. So we've been very fortunate. A lot of the guys that had nothing to do with the league messaged me on either Facebook or one of our pages, and I stayed up late that night and answered every single message. Just if they're going to take the time to send them, then I'm going to take the time to answer them for sure. Just the feedback was absolutely amazing. We actually raised the car count this week from 30 to 40 because we did fill up in a couple of the races. Mm-hmm. So hopefully now if people drop out, it won't be that big of a deal. But the feedback, and most of it is from non-league guys that just said, man, this is great. And, I just tell them this is how Coast to Coast is run. This is kind of, we're different, we're separate, but this is how it's run. This is how we do our business. And they were totally impressed. So it was a great night. I absolutely loved every second.
Well, and we got lots of green flag laps in too. I mean, the racing that makes a big difference too. And I think that's one of the reasons it really helps to have the league guys intermingled in with them, because we know our league guys for the most part, are going to run everybody really clean because they're expected to, and so it helps the host of guys get comfortable. And I think it's just it was a fun mix. Like, we had a good time. Like, I know guys were kind of chit chatting on the radio a little bit and having fun. So it was a little bit more relaxing too, I think.
Yeah, and it's probably just dumb luck on our part. Roger and I talked actually this afternoon that the lead guys, the mix of lead guys, right? They know to be a half car length in between cars. They know ahead of time how to kind of, and those non-lead guys kind of followed those guys. And it was dumb luck, but it just worked out perfectly. That, we didn't plan on having half lead guys and half not, but it just worked out, and it was, I think, fun was had by all. So it was a great time.
Yeah, and just gives our guys another night to run. A lot of guys have asked us before to run Fridays, and we sort of are now. With you're like a sanctioned body, and like running basically our rules and stuff. So guys know it's a familiar place to go, and they, with you at the helm running it, everybody knows it's going to be a good show. So that worked out really, really well. For people who don't know you, Joe, let's give it a little bit of background on your career and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so I was raised here in Northern California, born and raised up here in Kyle Larson territory. Joined the Air Force back in a long time ago, '86, and kind of headed out. Lived 8 years in Germany. Played actually fast pitch softball for the Air Force on an Air Force team. Actually came up to Canada and played the Canadian Armed Forces team back in the day.
Who won?
So did a lot of absolutely cool stuff in the Air Force. Traveled around the world playing softball, for one. Traveled around the States playing softball. Had some super jobs. I spent 23 years, just under 23 years in the Air Force. And I'm telling you, every single day was absolutely fabulous. And I deployed quite a bit. And my last deployment was actually to Incirlik Air Base, Turkey. And I went on, this is probably the highlight of my career, went on a 4-hour F-16 ride on a dogfighting mission. And so if we ever meet, I got to tell you the dogfighting story, because it was absolutely insane. 2 F-16s flying near the Syrian border. It was absolutely amazing. So that's just one of the things. But yes, for 23 years, retired, moved back here to California. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was an electrician and a first sergeant. Those that know what a first sergeant is. Didn't know what I was going to do. It was 2008. The economy had just tanked. So I decided to go back to school, got my MBA, got into some engineering stuff for my background, and finally moved into contracting. And as you know, I just moved to the national park. I'm a contracting officer, do construction contracts for the national park. I work from home, but I have to. I'm absolutely ordered to travel to the national parks to check out my construction projects. So yeah, man, life is just good. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed for sure.
Yeah. I was going to lead into that whole that national park thing, because that's what a gig that is. That's awesome, man. Yeah. And you work for it, so good for you. That's awesome. The other interesting thing, knowing your military background, and there was something you said that really, did it hit a nerve. I can't remember the conversation, and I think it was in with our vet. We have a vet message group, and it might have been in there. And you had made the comment that guys were talking about. You're talking about this new group that you've come into that it's military, and we'll get into that in a minute. But you had said that if we're talking about 22 suicides a day from military, and you made a comment that if you could just save, I can't remember the exact wording, if you could just save one life or help one veteran, that you would give up all the rest of this racing stuff. And that really hit home.
Yeah, 100%.
I know where your heart and your passion is, man. And And I think we can do great things with that going forward. You and I have had some initial discussions, and I think there's something there. And I know you've been in conversations with Andy and Andy Patton and Jeff Barker, two of our most respected. We respect all the veterans, but they've been around for a long time. I have a lot of respect for them. So I think there could be good things coming out of that. And it may be premature, but tell us a little bit about that organization that you came across.
Yeah, so I'm not real sure. So when we get into iRacing, there's so many fly-by-night, you have this group pop up for real quick. And I was telling, I think it was maybe Rob Neller, that 1 year in iRacing is like 10 years. I mean, it's just everything moves so freaking fast. And I never knew quite where I fit in. Well, when I started streaming, I knew I wanted the theme to be taking care of veterans, because some of our folks come back, they're hurting, man. And the shirt that I have on is actually PTSD awareness. I wear a veteran shirt for each stream that is on, right? And I buy them from a veteran-owned small business. But they come back, they're hurting. And I thought, maybe I can do something with this. So what I did was I went out on Google, like everybody does, and I searched iRacing veterans groups or something, racing or something. And I came across this group called Operation Motorsports. And of course, the shy guy that I am, I sent their director an email and just said, hey, how you doing? This is what I'm all about. We share a common passion. And the guy emailed me back the next day and said, hey, let's have a phone call. So what these guys do is they put disabled veterans into real-life racing jobs. They give them training. They're with the SRO. It's all road course stuff. But they give the training and put disabled veterans around the racing business, be it a mechanic, be it whatever. Some of them actually jump over the wall and crew cars, which is really cool. So had some really good conversations with them. Super organization, but they are doing good things for vets, and it just worked for me. Great conversation. I got a phone call from one of their directors right away. I mean, how often does that happen?
Yeah.
They are not only a U.S., they actually have an office in Canada and one in the U.S., right? So that kind of spans, of course, this will probably sound corny, but Coast to Coast Racing League is another one of my passions, and where are our drivers from, right? So how do you, it just perfect match again. So great organizations, they do great things for veterans. They are operationmotorsports.org. We had one of their guys show up to race.
He got on the made the podium, I think, didn't he?
Made the podium in sprint cars, absolutely. Just good stuff. They made it perfectly clear to me, and maybe you and Preston might understand this a little bit, as I don't do things slowly. I kind of get in my own way sometimes, and people get a bit nervous and maybe, back up. But they made it perfectly clear, hey, we are a road racing organization. We've placed vets with SRO, this road racing. We don't do dirt yet.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes. Just super good organization, and they're doing stuff for vets on both sides of the border. So I think that's just, for me, it just struck a key, and I'm not known to go into something half-assed, and I'm in.
Yeah. So you'll have to report on that, as you make progress. I know you're going to meet those guys down in Sonoma or something in a few months, and so we don't know what's going to come of it, but it's certainly encouraging. And you're just like a dog after a bone. I know that. So
yeah, how exciting!
It should be great.
I use Icon Sim Sports to kind of get my foot in the door, because every email I send to anybody that has anything to do with iRacing includes the picture of the Patriot rig that I got, right? So that is, it kind of lets people know that you're serious about what you have going on, right?
Yep.
And we talked about the 22 veterans. Well, my car happens to be number 22. That was not on purpose, right? You and I talked about that, Roger.
Yep.
That's my birthday.
Yep.
But the director took the pictures of the Icon rig and posted it in their Discord page and basically said, hey, this isn't mine. It's a new members rig. I haven't seen anything quite like this. And so it's good all the way around.
Yeah. And how did you meet Rob Neller? Like, how did that whole thing start? Because that's how you sort of came into the league, was sort of a,
it is.
you know,
Y'all are a little ways apart, at least physically.
Yeah.
It's freaking insane, right? So, just like the Operation Motorsports, I see a Icon Sim Sports, I don't even know where, maybe on Dirt World, maybe on wherever it was, I saw this rig. So I started doing the research, and I just emailed him, hey, how you doing? This is me. That's a pretty cool looking rig. Kind of a patriotic guy, but I'm not ready right now. And so it kind of, we him and hawed for, that was a year and a month ago. It feels like I've known him forever. I talked to Rob today and I said, bro, we've only known each other for just over a year. I feel like I've never not known you. So anyway, it went back and forth for a couple months. And I just said, that's it. And I called him up and I said, hey, buddy, I need you to build me a rig. And we kind of talked about it the last podcast I was on. He's like, what do you want? I said, every option you have, put it on there. And he said, okay. And boy, we walked through it. So that's kind of how it started. But I'm pretty persistent. So I would contact him and contact him and contact him. And he got so tired of it, he said, here's my phone number. Just call me. I'm tired of texting. So I wore him down. And he finally gave me his phone number. So, and we talk. We talk at least once a week. So it just happened, man. Just like everything else, it just happened. I'm not real sure. But what a great
it's amazing. Yeah, and it's amazing how everything in the league just falls into place here, and getting us to where we are today with the partners we've got. It's just makes us all stronger, and it's exciting times for sure.
So if you were to ask me my usual question now, who my biggest rival, my answer has probably changed, and at this point is one of your teammates, Brandon Templeton. So I don't know what's been going on, but he and I have been finding each other all over the track, sometimes in violent ways. But it's been a blast. But so that's one thing I wanted to ask you, because just since you've come into the league, the Icon team has expanded quite a bit and are really starting to make their mark. Tell us a little bit about your team too.
So yeah, that's a cool story. So just so you're aware, right? I actually had to send out a message on the Icon Discord page and said, listen, we're teammates. If you go back and look at Monday Night Madness, Brandon Templeton and I find each other more often than anybody else. But hey, damn it, I'm your teammate, man. But more than likely it's my fault, but so you're not the only one. So yeah, so I asked Rob Neller. I'm not a road racer, and that's what Icon was all about. They do road racing. And Rob said, hey, you ought to check out, at the time it was G-Force Racing League. And I said, hey, how about you let me build a dirt team? And Rob had been burned by a guy that tried to put together a dirt team and kind of took advantage of it. And because his rig was done, it kind of disappeared, but got all the benefits. And I said, you know what, man, I don't want anything. I don't need anything other than you to give us the name to give me some credibility. So the first guy I contacted was Brandon Templeton. And how I did it was just how I do everything, man. I messaged him on iRacing. How you doing? This is me. I don't have much money. We're a team. If you're in, you're in. And day one, he was like, I'm 100% in. And so Brandon and I started this less than a year ago. And then it just snowballed. And my theory was, I don't make any decisions, right? So Brandon and I made the next decision on Brian Dickens, which Brian Dickens and I, back when we were coming up, because we came on iRacing about the same time, crashed into each other. He was on my list. I used to keep a list next to my desk of people that pissed me off or wrecked me, right? So I'd know who they were. So
That's pretty
Brian
good.
beat me one. So I called Brandon, I'm saying, hey man, I can't believe I'm about to tell you this. You know Brian Dickens? Like, yep. Like, that dude pisses me off so much. You want to put him on the team? Like,
We've tried that.
I said, if we can't beat him and if he's going to run into me, we might as well put him on a team so at least I have a way to communicate with him, because he doesn't listen to his headphones when he races. He won't do it. So all that stuff I was saying to him on official races, he never heard any of it. So, and then once we got Brian on board, again, just through iRacing, we found Kurt Schatzer, and Brian and Brandon and I, hey, is this guy in or out? And I give him their name, and they go and they follow him around official races to make sure, it's almost more important not how they finish. I don't really care about that. But when they mess up, do they own up to it? How is their communication with other drivers? Are they number one, it's good dudes, right? And so that's just, everything is a team vote. There's 5 of us now, 6 of us now from all over the place, and just super good dudes.
Yeah, and those things you're mentioning, I think, are the foundations of getting fast, right? Like, you got to have some respect for other drivers, because you might run 3 or 4 fast laps, but if you can't run a whole race without getting into somebody, what good are you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Or if you do get into people, guess what? They're going to return the favor.
Right, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So that's the Icon Dirt story. And Rob Neller let us do that, and it's just kind of grown, and it's all good stuff.
Yeah, well, your team's stature in the league has certainly grown. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
that's great to hear. I'll share it with them. Of course, they watch Pitside podcast.
They better.
I'm not going to tell them either until this is on.
It's got to be. It's got to be one of the qualifiers if you want to be on your team. That you got to watch Pitside podcast.
That's right. Everybody should have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just the way it is, fellas.
So we've asked you the typical questions, and we're going to do something different this week. Though is we're moving on to a bunch of other stuff, but Joe has just joined the executive. Like I say, he's slowly taking over everything here, and but Joe was invited to the executive. He does so much for the league, and we were really pleased that he accepted. So we'll have you stick around while we go through the rest of this. Co-host the rest of this show, man. Did you have any other questions, Preston?
No. Let's dive into the other stuff.
Yeah. So the one thing I want to talk about is right off the bat is the Coast to Coast Racing School. Unbelievable. You guys may not be aware, but it's just like they're getting flooded. Like, the word that we posted that it was, they're alive, and I got the forms done and all that stuff. And I think, within, I think that was Friday or Saturday, I don't know, on the weekend, maybe even Sunday. And they're like getting booked up. Like, if anybody's looking, you're going to have to give them time, because I think we had like 13 guys already lined up for lessons. Some guys have had lessons already, and they've really gone well. So kudos to John Hine, Stephen Goldner, Steven Spies, and Nick Vickery. I mean, we got it's a cream of the crop for the league, for sure. And they're from 3 different teams. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing for all the drivers. Like it's really indirectly another result of the drivers fund, because the drivers fund will cover the cost of the sessions, and the iRacing and that. But really, I mean, let's face it, it's these guys giving up their valuable time. Yeah, and can't say enough about it.
That's a good point, because I mean that's the thing, and especially when now that there's going to be this early rush, it'll even out some too, for sure. Yeah. But initially, we'll just have to ask everybody to be patient, because we're certainly not going to ask these guys to overdo it. They're volunteering their time, and we're right in the middle of Christmas season too, right? So everybody's got family stuff going on. So just
and then I saw a note today where I think Steven Spies is he's getting ready for a sort of a road trip, so he's doing all his prep now, and then he's gone for like 2 weeks in January on the road. So these guys have got a full life and families and stuff. So but I know John, we were talking. He's looking at maybe adding a couple more guys. Yeah. You know, we don't want to go too fast. No, don't want to go too fast, but we do want to grow it so that there's not too much pressure on any one individual to, you know, so that we don't want to burn these guys out, because this is huge, man. You know, I know the guys that are lined up are excited to get some instructions, and the guys that have had the lessons, you know, I was the first dry run guy, and I didn't tell anybody at the time, but for the Knoxville Nationals, I had John Hine, you know, help me qualify, because I am so crap, and it's so important there. And so we did a session, and he had my lap times right down, like almost to his, you know, just marks, you know, like where to run the line, and like there's so many things I was doing wrong. And I got down, but you know, of course, Knoxville Nationals, you only got 2 laps to do it, and I blew it. So, but I qualified the other night. I think I was at least mid-pack, you know, qualifying for Knoxville. So
you were quick. We had a great battle.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, so kudos to John. It works. I'm telling you, you will learn from these guys. It was a very cool instruction period, and yeah, and you know, other people may offer it, but there's a fee involved, and you know, these guys are donating their time, and like I said, best guys in the league. Like, holy crap!
Yeah.
You know, like they're all champions. They've you know, Vickery won 3 trophies just this past season, for God's sakes. You know, Goldner is a back-to-back Renegades champion. Like, that's, you know,
it's the only one to ever do it.
So, yeah. So just you know, fill out the form. It's on everything's on the website, and just fill out that form. But you're gonna have to be a little bit patient. I think their policy, John's policy, is to reply within 24 hours, and then try to set something up somewhere. But it may take a little bit of time. But they're going to reach out. So just that's huge, and it came out starting block, just like Joe's Friday Night Lights thing. It just came out like gangbusters. So kudos to everybody all around, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, like you said, that costs a lot of money on iRacing to get that. So
yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I know guys that are doing it with Bergeron, and I mean, it's probably money well spent with Bergeron, but it's, you know, it's not cheap, and so you know, you're getting pretty close to that. You know, that these guys are they're capable of you know, running the Pro Series, or you know, the Pro qualifiers, and doing really well. So you're talking about the best guys, you know, out there. But yeah. Just last week we didn't cover it because it hadn't run yet, but the Hawkeyes went well. We had some good turnouts for those.
Do we officially know who's qualified?
Well, we have no, because it's going to take me a while. I don't think we do it till about week 4, and there's so much else going on right now. But we do have the list of, you know, the order, because like the Legend guys, the top 4 may have, you know, finish in the top 4 somewhere else, and choose to run a faster car. So you know, we won't know just yet. But
gotcha.
I think Lane Snook won 2 or 3 of them or something. So he
that sounds right.
Can't run them all. You know, so but it was good, and you know, can't wait to get those going again. Then so that was good. And Sunday night, the Roadrunners, you know, they introduced for them. The retread's been running them for a while, but the Formula V's, what a blast! You know, we had a decent amount of guys out. You were out for that, weren't you, Preston?
Yeah.
You and your dad?
Yeah, I finished on the podium.
What's that? On the podium? That's right, with the plain-looking car.
Yeah, I need a wrap.
Yeah, it looked like you were getting ready for Christmas with that thing. It was red and green, I think.
Yeah,
so,
it was.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a blast, and you know, they'll be running Skippy next week, and then, you know, we've all run that, but we'd love to get the car counts back up on that, because it's a good group of guys, and the Formula V's, man, they are just a blast. You know, so it's
well, and that was I've run Scuba a whole bunch. I probably am butchering the pronunciation, but I'd never run that short track. I mean, it's practically like a go-kart track. And you know what? Yeah. It really is a very different race. You know, I've gotten used to the road racing and running long laps, especially in the Formula V's, which aren't terribly fast. Yeah. And it's a long, like, you know, it's just a little less intense, right? You hit your mark and you kind of move on, and it's a little more flow to it. But man, when that small track, it's turn after turn after turn, and then you're doing it again over and over again, and it kind of goes back to a little bit of that oval racing feel because it's just over and over again, and it was a different experience, but I guess it worked out all right for me.
Well, the cool thing too is I think we go back there again and run it the other way. Like there's a reverse course on that.
Okay.
So you run it, and it's a different track, right?
Right.
You know, because just the turns are totally different. So it's that should be fun. We got the next gens out for a test run first time, and we had a great car count there. I think
we did.
You were there, yeah,
for about half
I think
of
we
it.
had like about we had about 15 cars I think there. So that was good, and it was a good run right to the end. As a great finish. Joe, you didn't. Rob Neller was in that, but you decided not to show or something. I don't know.
No, I came in and watched. Actually, you were admin. Somebody was admin. I was going to volunteer, but I did. I don't miss many, and I came in and watched. I just didn't make the start.
Oh,
I wanted to give you guys a chance.
Oh,
yeah. Well, you should. You know what? There's been a couple times when I came in like lap 20, and I just try to hook up with a teammate and push him. You know.
Yeah.
So you could have done that. You left Neller out there on his own, but he handled himself well. I think he finished. Did he win that or did he finish P2? I can't remember. But
he was very quick.
But it was a good turn. Yeah, but the next gen cars seemed kind of cool. So we'll see as the season goes on. But that's looking like a good series. Monday night Madness. It was a great night. Joe Halter, you're just killing it, buddy. You got in the Renegades and you're holding your own up there. I think you were in the top 5 qualifying or something, weren't you?
I can't remember. I tried not to. I want to run his back.
You sandbagger.
Yeah, it's scary, right? You move up in a division and you don't want to be that guy, you know?
You don't want to be that guy.
He whipped up on me in Rebels. You did. I
apologize.
No, I'm not talking about the heat where you ran me over because that happened. But no, you whooped me in the feature. I could not catch you to save my life. We were passing some guys together, but I was consistently 2 to 3 seconds behind you. I could not catch you to save my life.
Oh, Monday night.
Yeah,
so much fun, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I used to run with you, and now you the last few weeks you've just gone. I don't know. Ape shit, like you're just taking off, man. It's just you're in another zone, so good on you.
He's in the Patriot rig, that's what it is.
He's in the Patriot rig, yeah.
So if you buy an Icon rig, guys,
shameless plug.
Yeah, but it was I think Monday night was good. I think the whole division thing got sorted out pretty good, and some great racing. There's great racing in the Raiders, There's some real. I was saying this to somebody today. There's some real fast guys in the Raiders. Their IL's too high. They gotta tone it down. But they're fast. Like there's some good competition, boy, in Raiders. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And some guys coming back. So they're starting at the bottom again. So.
I don't mean this to toot my own horn at all, but we should definitely mention that the Rebels went flag to flag, no cautions whatsoever, which was awesome.
Yes, yeah, I had 0 incidents in the feature. That was
me too.
That's a second one in a row, and I've never had 0 incidents before. So, but it was super clean racing, and it was great. And I think right decision, just like last year, starting at Knoxville, going to Charlotte. Everybody's got a chance to get that IL down, and boy, if you've got it up right now, you better get it down because
it gets tougher.
Yeah, it gets tougher. So we go to a bull ring week 3, so Fairbury, I think. So yeah. So anyways, Monday night was great. We ran a retreads race today. Today's Tuesday. 15 drivers today. Unbelievable! Wow. Like it was, that's all the old guys.
A couple guys have a birthday or something.
No, it's just everybody. We've got a couple new guys. We've had actually quite a few guys join in the last week or two, and I think part of that is a result of Joe's races. It would be interesting to see who the new additions are and if Joe recognizes names from Friday night because we've had a bit of a bump. We've had a bump. But we've had a bump in the old time. We had a couple new guys out, but everybody just came out and 15 cars, and somebody ended up on the podium. Can't say who that was,
Oh,
but
It was Greg
Yeah.
Boydell. I
Yeah.
saw it. He actually
Hey.
won.
Joe,
Oh,
have you ever seen this, Joe?
Oh my goodness! What is
just-
that?
Yeah. There you go, buddy. Just saying.
Got the
So, anyways,
got the hardware.
somebody's left the
More
building.
press
Somebody's left the
window.
building.
Yeah.
He left the building.
I've seen this episode before.
So today, I have to say tonight, everything is just going so great. We got, we're so excited about so many things happening, but tonight was a little disappointing. We ran our first recruiting race, and I think we only had 5 or 6 guys in there. That'll change. We're missing the beat on something there, and we'll figure that out. And then Topless Tuesday, both of these were done by Joe. So Joe is, just fresh off the streams there before he got in here. But Topless Tuesday, I'm going to say, I was disappointed in the car count.
Yeah.
And it needs to bump up if it's going to keep going, guys. So you need to support it.
Well, and
if you want it around, you got to support it.
Yeah, and I want to say this: if anybody's watching that runs Friday and enjoyed the atmosphere, come out on Tuesday to Topless Tuesday.
Yep.
Those cars can be pretty difficult to run, but it's a really light atmosphere. We have a good time. We pal
Yep.
around, and some of that is because the car counts aren't extraordinary, and everybody's going to make the feature, and we just have a good time. But guys will help you with your lines, like that. It's a fun time. It's worth coming out to. Give it a shot, and I promise you'll like it.
That's a real good point, because I know I've talked to a few guys who say, I don't really know how to handle that guy. I don't want to go out be that guy and all that stuff. But I reassured him. I said, I've come out, and I've managed to pretty much stay out of the way. It's a good group of guys, and just run a little bit cautiously. But they're a fun car, man. They're fun. Both midgets and the 360s.
I think I told this story once before, but Joe Canellis just happened to come out one night too. I think he just kind of stumbled across the session, and he celebrated at the end like he'd won. But Terry was in the room with us, right? And if Terry's in the session with you, if you need advice, ask him, because he'll help you. Terry's just that kind of guy. So he's one of one of the helpers that way. So come out if you need help. Ask us, and I know we'll be more than happy to give you some guidance.
I got to talk about Sim Race Hub and our standings. So, we've moved to Sim Race Hub. By the time you're seeing this podcast, we should have it out in production. Just been doing some background work. Want to make sure we've got, all the I's dotted, T's crossed. They'll all be available on our website. The standings page, and just it used to be the IRL on iRacing League Manager. So that'll be just the standings page. Now will take you to views of Sim Race Hub, which is the old Dan Lisa, and then you can click and go in there, and I mean they have a wealth of information. You can look at the stats for the whole season. You can see how you did every race. You can pull up a screen that shows how you did every race, how many top 5s you got, how many top 10s you got, and incidents per lap, which is that's where we fell upon incidents per lap, and then Preston built it into his. So it's coming together, but it should be available when you see this, or very shortly after, because the goal was to have it out before week 2, and that's when everybody kind of knows how they did last week, but it's after the second week. Okay, where am I standing now? So that's coming along, and Clint Snead is the guy's name that runs it now. Great guy, great response. Anytime I've had issues getting this thing set up, he was, right on top of it and helpful. So, and that should hopefully take
not just issues. I think there were a couple things like that they didn't have that program that they were able to actually take and put in, right? Or maybe that's still something being worked on.
Yeah. Well, there was a few things that were there back when I used it before, and they were gone. And he did his magic and brought them back.
That's a big deal.
And they have some great plans going forward. They're actually rewriting it in about 3 different programs. Remember, I was telling you about the languages, and you didn't recognize the languages, but
I just don't know.
Yeah, they have a whole project lined up. Like there's a lot of effort. It's kind of like a Joe Halter effort going on here, and they're going to bring this thing up to snuff. Lots of new features coming. So I think we're probably getting in place at a good time, and hopefully that takes a load off of you, and frees you up for if it's not for our league time, it's for family time or something, because it's you get these young guys with families and a full-time job. It's not like us old guys that this is our life.
So yeah, I got to interrupt and I got to tell on myself, right? So I told you I'm from California. California school system isn't all that hot, right? So I now know what IL stands for. I'm doing a stream. I'm driving. My IL is 226, and I'm telling everyone my incident rating is too high. My accident rating is too high. IL. Got it. Incident per lap. So I'm slow, but I got it. So thanks. Good on you.
There you go. You learn something new every day on the podcast, man.
That's right. If people would just watch, that's all you got to do. We also need to mention, right? So we see videos out there that get tons of views, and most of the views, this is either podcast or our live streamed races, most of the views are from non-subscribed users. So if you're watching this, or if you're watching one of our races, there's a button. Joe might have to do a little pointing here. He doesn't know where he's at, but it's down here at the bottom of the page. Just subscribe to the page. You'll just get notified when we go live. It's essentially once a day, except for Saturday. So it's just, we'll let you get our content as quickly as possible. Podcast usually goes out between 8 and 10 on Sunday morning, so that you have access to that on a weekend day. And then the Spotify and Apple podcasts go out on Mondays, on Monday mornings now. So if you need those, that's where to find those. But make sure you subscribe. It helps us, and shouldn't be too much of a burden. But at least it lets you get the content as quickly as possible. So make sure you do that, please. That'll help us a whole lot.
Yeah, and if I may, and this airs on Sunday. So if you raced on Friday night and you heard me pitch Pitside Podcast and you tuned in, greatly appreciated. This is what it's all about. This is all Coast to Coast Racing League that you have to look forward to. So
Joe's going to give you 50% off of an Icon rig.
Compliments of Roger Craig.
There you go. So I think we're pretty close to closing out here. We appreciate everybody tuning in. And Joe, I'm glad you hung around, bud. It's been a lot of fun. But I think before we go, we need to know an answer to a question that I know everybody has had this entire episode. Who won the softball game against the Canadian Armed Forces?
Yeah.
You guys won't believe this. So
It was a tie.
It was, no kidding, a doubleheader. And we were at Trenton Air Station, somewhere in Canada, not real sure where.
About 3 hours from here.
And we split. That's it, right? And it was like a big deal. I mean, you had dignitaries. First time that the U.S. went back up into Canada, and they played, I forget what they called that, intramural, but it's actually inter-country game. So the limos meet us, right? I'm just a punk kid, didn't know what was going on, and
limos. Good Lord, what kind of softball game is this?
Oh man, they pulled up.
He's in Canada. We take care of our guests.
Oh, you take your softball seriously in Canada.
But we split. Long story short, it ended how it should have ended. We split. Everyone went and had a beer.
No. See, you play a third game.
I bet you there was.
You play a third.
I bet you there was more than one beer.
It's a couple.
And that probably before you got to the ninth inning.
There was a couple.
Yeah.
And we may have had a colonel climb over the fence of the secured air base, but I don't know that to be a fact.
Well, man, what a letdown for the end of the podcast. Jeez, you should have just made something up, Joe.
I think it's perfect, Joe.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it's all about.
I don't accept defeat.
That's what it's all about. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. It's been a blast as always. We're rolling into week 2 of the Coast to Coast Racing League 2022 winter season, so make sure you check out. We do have racing now 7 days a week, and then 5 of those days, Monday through Friday, are broadcast. So there's plenty to choose from. It's all great racing, and you'll get to catch our very own Joe Halter on Tuesdays and Fridays. So make sure you tune in for that, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode of the Pitside Podcast. Thanks a lot.
Drive safe, everybody.